such a thing. Mrs. Odetts takes a vacation in Connecticut, writes you one little letter, and now you want to move to the country.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful, Dad. So healthy and peaceful, and listen to this. It'd do your father so much good. Remember, Margie, he's an old man now.
Old man? Just because I'm past 40 doesn't mean that...
Dad?
Well, 45 is not too far past 40, and I'm not too far past 45.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being just past 45. I think that's a great age for a man almost 50.
I've got to get to the office. And regardless of what Mrs. Odetts says, we are not moving to the country.
Now, Dad, just listen a minute. What a wonderful life. You waken in the morning to the song of a bird on your windowsill. You throw up the window and take in a deep breath of air.
That's a good way to swallow a bird.
It sounds so wonderful, Dad. Why waste our lives in the city? The damp heat, the damp cold, the awful hustle and bustle, the traffic, the exhaust fumes. All right, have it your way. The city's swell and you're so young and healthy. Forget it.
You really worry about your old daddy, don't you?
I have to, because wonderful fathers like mine don't worry about themselves.
You know, honey, when you were born, your mother didn't really die. She's right here inside you. That day I carried you home from the hospital, I knew we weren't alone. But we're not moving to the country.
Okay, Dad.
Morning, Mr. Albright. Morning, Margie.
Hi, Freddie.
And how is the pride of the unemployment office this bright morning?
Oh, swell, thanks. We're having a little party next week. All the fellows who've managed to stay out of work for 3 consecutive months.
Goodbye, Freddie.
Dad.
Bye, Margie.
Someday I'll have that boy made into a bookend.
Goodbye, Dad. Oh, wait for me, Mr. Albright. I'll ride down with you. Goodbye, dear. Hello, Margie. Hi, Norma. Dick, what's the trouble with you and Norma?
No, let's not talk about it, Margie.
Well, maybe I can help. Golly, I've known you kids ever since you were married 3 months ago.
I know. And listening to your advice as I have on several occasions, I'm amazed my marriage hasn't wound up in a divorce court before this.
Tell me, what's the trouble?
Well, it's nothing you can help with, Margie. Well, it's just that after only 3 months of marriage, only 3 months, well, Norma's already taking me for granted.
Oh, Dick, no.
Yes. Well, this is the first day I've had off in 6 weeks. And instead of staying here with me, she's going down to her knitting class. Oh, Margie, help me, advise me. I don't want my marriage to break up. Oh, what am I saying? Forget the whole thing. Don't even think of helping me.
Okay. But I do have an idea.
Do you really have an idea?
You're darn right I have. Norma'll probably hate me for the rest of her life, but I'll do it. For you and her. Now, suppose she thought her marriage wasn't so completely secure. I'll demonstrate. Suppose she stepped out of the elevator and saw something like this.
Margie!
I thought you went home.
Well, this is very difficult to explain, Freddie.
You don't say.
Fred, Dick and I are discussing something important, so would you mind leaving?
Margie, I don't have very much, but all I have is yours. Come away with me right now. Be my wife. Share my unemployment check.
Fred, this is very important. Would you please go?
Goodbye, Margie.
You should have explained to him.
No one must know. They might give us away. Now, we've got to plan this thing.
You mean Norma sees us together and thinks that maybe I'm kind of attractive to somebody else?
Right. I know. We'll get Charlie to...
Charlie who?
Charlie, the elevator operator. He can warn us when Norma's coming up. Then... Hi, Charlie.
I'll take you up in just a second. Be right back. Give me Mr. Albright's apartment, please. Oh, Mrs. Carleton.
Hello, Mr. Carleton.
I want you to know I'm one apartment manager who doesn't forget. I've got that sample of wallpaper for your apartment, if you'd like to see it.
Wonderful.
It's in my office.
Charlie called. She's coming up. All set?
Well, I guess so.
As soon as the indicator gets to 10.
Let's make it look good, but not too good.
8, 9. Now put your arms around me and don't even glance at the elevator.
Okay.
Oh, Dick, you're so wonderful.
Now, I guess I am pretty attractive to women. I wish my wife could see how a young, pretty girl like you goes for me.
Oh, don't think about your wife. Think only of me, Dick. Think only of me.
My poor little girl. My poor little girl.
If Norma knew how you felt toward me, I'll bet she wouldn't take me for granted like she does.
Oh, Dick, please tell me you care just a little.
I think the elevator door just closed.
Grab a peek.
All clear.
Swell. Now you go inside and wait for her to come back up. Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Didn't want to embarrass you in front of me.
She sure is a wonderful girl. But I'm going to act real innocent, just like nothing happened.
Hey, we better hurry.
Thanks a million, Margie.
Oh, come in, lad. Thanks for coming over.
Whatever it is I've done, Mr. Albright, I apologize.
Oh, it's not you, Freddie, my boy. It's our little Margie. I had to talk to somebody, and I couldn't talk to her about it. It's too serious. You wouldn't guess what it is in a million years.
You mean that fella next door?
Well, how did you know?
I went back this morning after you left. Margie asked me to leave. She wanted to be alone with him.
Oh, my little girl. In love with a married man. Oh, that's why she wanted to move to the country. She wanted to get away from him. Freddie, that's it.
What do you mean?
Well, she wanted to move to the country. That would solve everything. She'd soon forget him. And I know just a man. Come on, Freddie. We're going to see a man about a house in the country.
Oh, Mr. Albright, what is it?
Here's a blank check, Mr. Carson. This is an emergency. You know that real estate that you're trying to unload, that place up in Connecticut?
Yes?
Well, get me a house by tomorrow. Come on, Freddie.
I've been waiting for hours to hear what happened.
It's the first chance I've had to get out. It didn't work.
It didn't?
No, she came in as if she hadn't even seen us. I told you she didn't care anything about me.
She didn't say anything at all?
Oh, sure. She told me about the new wallpaper we're going to have in the living room. Well, thanks anyway, Margie.
I'm sorry, Dick.
What's the difference? Other marriages have broken up. Mine will be the first. Good night, Margie.
Good night, Dick.
Don't try to stop me, Mr. Albright. I'm going to knock on his door, and when he answers, he's going to get a broken jaw. Come on, I'll knock on the door, and you get ready to break his jaw.
Violence never solved anything, Freddie, but he's not going to see her again, ever.
What do you mean?
Well, you're going to stay all night, and tomorrow morning when I leave for the office, you're going to stay in the apartment all day and not let Margie out of your sight. It's obvious that she'd rather I didn't know, so don't let on that we're wise.
Dad?
Yes, honey? Now, just act normal.
Hi, Margie.
You came in with him?
Yes, from now on, this is my boy. Right, boy?
Right, boy.
As a matter of fact, I think so much of Freddie, I want him to stay all night.
You want Freddie to stay all night?
Well, it's dangerous out on the street at this time of night, and this is my boy. Freddie, wake up. I've got to get to the office.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Albright. Margie?
Margie will get breakfast for you, and I'll see you when I get back.
You mean he's staying all day, too?
He sure is. This is my boy.
I'll get dressed.
Hello. Oh, yes, Mr. Carson. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. This apartment? Oh, sure, let somebody else have it. Oh, thanks a million. Honey, get ready to move.
Move? Ready to move what?
Everything, lock, stock, and frock. I'll take care of everything at the office, and I'll be back as soon as possible. We're moving to Connecticut this afternoon.
Are you kidding?
Well, you said you wanted to move to the country, didn't you? Well, this afternoon we move.
Holy mackerel. But, Dad, you can't move that fast. Nobody can. Besides, I'm not sure I want to move now.
We are moving to the country this afternoon, and that's final. Goodbye, honey.
We're moving.
Now, stick close to her. Don't let her out of your sight.
Mr. Albright, could I leave for a few minutes around 2 o'clock?
Well, what for?
Well, one of my pals is getting his final unemployment check, and some of the fellas and I were going to go down and cheer him up.
No, you can't leave.
Morning, Mr. Albright.
Don't talk to me. And don't wait for me, because I wouldn't ride in the same elevator with you.
Good for you, Mr. Albright.
You know, Freddie, somebody ought to warn his wife about him. She ought to know the kind of a guy he really is.
You going to tell her?
Well, somebody's got to. She's a sweet girl. She ought to know. But I won't mention Margie.
Well, then how are you going to tell her?
Well, if she's as smart a girl as I think she is, she'll get the point. Now, you keep your eye on Margie.
Oh, Mr. Albright, good morning. Dick's gone.
I know. Norma, could I have a little talk with you?
Oh, certainly. Come in.
Norma, there's something that you've got to know.
Oh, what is it?
Well, this is a very difficult thing to say, Norma, but people are only human, and you can't hold it against anyone if he or she happens to fall in love with a married person.
I don't understand.
Oh, I'm not trying to justify it or say it's all right, but it's happened, and I just hope you can work things out.
Mr. Albright, you don't mean...
I knew a smart girl like you wouldn't have to be told bluntly, but it's been nice knowing you. Margie and I are moving up to Connecticut this afternoon, and I had to let you know before we go. Goodbye, Norma.
Goodbye, Mr. Albright. How did it ever happen? Mr. Albright's in love with me. Oh, hello, honey. I miss you.
You did? Really?
Well, shouldn't I?
Well, you've been so matter-of-fact about me lately.
Oh, Dick, stop being so ridiculous. Dick, I've got something to tell you. It's hard to believe, I know, but it's true.
Well, what is it, honey?
It's Mr. Albright.
Mr. Albright. I knew there was something wrong. He nearly chewed my head off this morning.
Oh, that figures. Naturally, he'd resent you.
Why should he resent me?
Because he's in love with me.
What?
He came in this morning after you left, and he told me so. We beat around the bush a little bit, but it was pretty obvious. Oh, honey, he's got such a crush on me, he had to move to Connecticut to get away. They moved this afternoon.
So he came in right after I left, huh? Now I think I have the answer.
Answer to what, dear?
So I'm just being ridiculous when I say there's been something wrong between us.
Good criminy. You're not going to start another one of your asinine arguments over nothing, are you? The way your father always does with your mother?
I suppose your father's better than my father. Whose father passed out at our wedding reception?
And whose father spiked the punch?
Just how many times has old man Albright been over here?
I told you what happened. Don't you believe anything? Jealousy is stupidity, Richard Calkins. Get that into that thick skull of yours.
Proud of yourself? You just called me jealous and stupid. And you probably expected me to raise my voice and yell like you. But that's where a person's background shows up. Little argument comes along and right away, yelling, screaming. The wrong side of the tracks certainly shows up. How many times has that white-headed homewrecker been over here?
10 times. 20 times. I've lost count.
I think this would be a very appropriate time to tell you something. Ever since our first breakfast together as man and wife, my smiles across the table have been sheer kindness. You make terrible coffee.
Is that so? Well, let me tell you something. You think you're pretty romantic, don't you? Well, now get it, because here it comes. You snore.
I don't.
You most certainly do, big boy. With your mouth wide open and your nose flapping in the draft.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Either you tell me everything, or I'm going up to Connecticut and beat the facts out of old man Albright. I'll call Mr. Carleton and get the address.
Richard Calkin, stop being such a nitwit and put that phone down.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'll find out something, huh?
Okay, go ahead. Go on up to Connecticut. Make a big stoop out of yourself. Go ahead, you'll deserve it.
We'll see. Hello? Give me the manager's office.
Honey, how do you like it?
Well, it's nice, I guess, but why did you decide to move so fast?
When a man gets to be my age, he needs a little peace and quiet, fresh country air, a little bird on the windowsill in the morning, and that sort of thing.
I saw a bird on my windowsill one morning. It was dead.
Freddie, you can have the small guest room.
Dad, you mean Freddie's staying here, too? I mean, permanently?
As long as he likes. This is my boy. And who knows, honey, things may work out for you and Freddie. I've always stood in your way, but not any longer. If Freddie wants to ask you to marry him, I won't stand in your way.
Margie, will you marry me?
No.
Give her time, boy.
I'll get it.
I mean it, Freddie. Give her time to get over Dick. Now, as much as I hate to admit it, I'd much rather have her married to you than getting into a triangle.
You actually hate me, don't you?
Terribly.
I thought so.
Dick? Dick Calkin? Oh, hi, Dick. How are you? You want to come up? Well, of course, Dick, if you want to see me that badly.
It's something pretty serious, Margie. Maybe you and I can talk it over before I mention it to your dad. Don't say anything to him about it. Thanks. Bye.
Oh, wait a minute, dear. Who is that?
Well, it was kind of personal. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, sure, honey.
I've got to unpack.
How do you like that? He's following her up here.
You gotta do something about him.
I'll get Norma up here, too. Freddie, we're going to have a showdown. Get me long distance.
Hello?
Hello, Norma. This is Mr. Albright. Your husband's on his way up here regarding that matter I talked to you about this morning.
Yes, I know. Mr. Albright, what am I going to do?
You catch the next train up here, and we'll have this whole thing out right in front of Margie and Dick.
And me.
Oh, be quiet. Believe me, Norma, it'll be better to get this whole thing settled once and for all. We'll be waiting for you. Goodbye.
What's happened? What's this all about?
It's about your father and my wife. That's why she's been acting the way she has.
Dad and Norma?
They're in love. She told me so herself. Wait till I get my hands on him. I'll teach him to play around with a married woman.
Oh, no, Dick. Fighting won't solve anything. We've got to be calm about this. Talk it over sensibly.
Oh, Norma, I'm glad you got here. Dick hasn't arrived yet.
Well, he must be here. There's his hat.
Oh, Margie must have let him in. What are we going to do about them? How are we going to keep them apart?
Keep them apart?
Yes, what I was telling you about this morning, about their being in love.
Mr. Albright, was that what you meant this morning? Margie and Dick?
They're madly in love.
And he went right on letting me put the blame on you, accusing me of...
Oh, there.
There, see?
Dad, how could you do this terrible thing?
Don't you think it's about time for a showdown? I certainly do.
I thought you were my friend. And as for you...
Shut up! You make horrible coffee.
It's not as bad as your snoring!
Quiet! We won't get any place screaming at each other. Now let's sit down and be adult about it.
You ought to be horsewhipped.
Me? All I'm doing is standing up for what I know to be right.
But you just happen to be up against the kind of a guy who believes in fighting for what he wants.
Well, you can't have her. And you're up against the same kind of a guy.
Oh, no, Dad, no.
fellas. Break it up. Break it up.
Don't worry about me. He's the one that's going to get it.
We'll see about that. Break it.
All right, Dick. At least you're a man in that respect. You win, but I still don't think you ought to leave your lovely little wife.
Well, I'm certainly not going to leave her just because you're in love with her.
Now, don't start that again. I know the truth about you and Margie. Go on, take him. I'm disgusted with him.
Take him? Me? Norma, you think there's something between Dick and me?
Margie, you mean you're not in love with Dick?
Of course not. Dad, you didn't by chance, you didn't see a little scene staged in the hall to make Norma jealous.
Norma, didn't you see Margie and me putting on that act to make you appreciate me more?
What act?
An act?
Holy mackerel. You know, I think there's been a slight misunderstanding around here.
Oh, sweetheart.
Darling.
Mr. Albright. Oh, Mr. Albright. Here's the deed to the house, and I took care of that blank check. I filled it in, and the house is yours for a mere $35,000. And I've sublet your apartment already. Well, nighty-night, all.
$35,000 for this, an old shack, and our apartment sublet, just because of a scene? Say, whose idea was this?
Control yourself. Remember your age.
Okay, fellas.
Oh, you and your bright ideas.
Just don't understand the world, I guess.
Well, Dad, it turned out great, didn't it? We got our apartment back.
Sure, after I bought the new tenants off. And what about that house in the country?
But you said Mr. Morton bought it back from you.
Sure, at $2,000 less than I paid for it.
Well, that's what I mean, Dad. Look at the wonderful reduction you'll get on your income tax.
Well, that's my little Margie.